This podcast may contain strong language, references of a sexual nature, and bad advice.
When life gets you down, your car just won't start. Agony art. It's time for agony art. If you've reached a dead end, you're not sure what to do. Agony art. Well, agony art is for you. At times life is grand, you've got the world in your hands. Then somehow you drop that ball. Instead of watching it fall, give agony art a call. Welcome back to Agony Art, the Agony Art podcast in which we try to solve your problems using examples from the great art of our age. And when we catastrophically, inevitably fail to solve any of your problems, at least you'll be left with a nice watching, reading and listening list to enjoy in your spare time. I am Liam, head of music here at Agony Art HQ.
That was awful. Head of music? What, you at school?
Fuck off.
Head of the music department. And you're late for your lesson.
Alright, what would you call me, Karl?
Majestic music mogul.
You can't have that because I've got mogul for you.
Alright, majestic music maestro. Mafioso.
Mafioso.
Yeah.
Alright. I am Liam, the resident music maestro here at Agony Art HQ. I am joined today, as always, by our literary luminary, Aaron.
Nice. Literary luminary.
And our movie mogul, Karl.
I've seen an Instagram biography where someone refers to themselves as a mogul. And I was like, you can't call yourself a mogul, can you? It's alright if someone calls you a mogul. I don't really know what a mogul is.
I just Googled it.
Did you?
It's someone who's very important in film or TV or something.
So calling yourself a mogul is even worse.
An important or powerful person, especially in the film or media industry.
Yeah, I'm not for calling yourself a mogul. Thank you for calling me a mogul.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of thing you can be called by other people, but if you call yourself it, nah,
mate.
get out.
Right now.
It's the end of you and me.
Go! Alright, so before we begin today, I would like to make it crystal clear so there is not a shadow of a doubt.
There's a lot of Halloween-y things here, Liam. That was last week, and Aaron did it.
Crystal clear?
Crystal balls. And...
Yeah, this is the Guy Fawkes special now.
I would like to make it as clear as a firework in the sky.
An explosive as a...
Banger! Before we start, I'd like to make it crystal clear that we are not here to solve anybody's serious life problems. Anyone who's listened to us for any amount of time will know that. But just in case you are a new listener, we are not qualified in any way whatsoever to help. And if you do need genuine help, you can go to our website where we've listed some links for people you can turn to. That's agonyartpodcast.com. So, let's move on with the show. And problem one for the day. Every time there's a World Cup or a Euros tournament, I become so convinced that football is coming home that when it doesn't, the disappointment is crushing. And I'm left heartbroken for about a week afterwards. How can I work on managing my expectations a bit better in future? So we've not had one, but we've had 2 consecutive tournaments recently when things looked so promising, didn't they? And our hopes were dashed on penalties right at the last minute. How did you two cope?
Disappointed, obviously, to get so far. I'm not one to, be depressed about it for weeks on end.
No. Because the problem is, you have all that build-up, and I always think the evening after you watch that last match where you get knocked out, and I imagine it's the same for any team, like you watch the last match where you get knocked out and you're sad for that evening. But I always think, what would my life have been like if we'd have won? Pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Just like...
You would be happy for that evening.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't affect your life in any meaningful way, does it? So,
and also, I think you need to enjoy the ride as well. I think FA's business plan for the next 3 tournaments was top 4, second, and then win. So we're actually on course to win the next one. If their plan goes
you're saying it's a fixed card?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
The thing is, though, competitive sport, by definition, is very... Unless it's really, really boring, it's very rare that one team is going to win every single game they play. So that makes tournament's really difficult, doesn't it? So it's not. I think you need to look at the positives, don't you, rather than the isolated losses.
The best we've done for 60 years. Not bad.
Who is the most disappointed that it's not coming home? What name should we give our pickle?
Kevin Keegan.
All right,
Kevin Keegan.
I don't know why
KK.
but yeah, he's probably disappointed. So, I think what you need to do is not enjoy the ride, enjoy the tournament, but don't build your life around it so that you're so heartbroken every time. Like, be like, oh, it's a shame, but then move on, look forward to the next one. So, I think that one of the best characters in movie history about just getting on with things is Wally from 2008. Not that Wally. The waste allocation load lifter, Earth class. Wally is what I mean.
Eva.
Directive.
So, fun fact. Did you know the guy who did the sound effects for Wally is the same guy who did the sound effects for the original Star Wars? Ben Burt.
Didn't.
So, Wally and R2-D2, distant cousins.
Oh. Well, they could be set in the same universe now. You never know. So, Wally came out in 2008. It was directed by Andrew Stanton. It's set at 29th century Earth, and the planet is covered in waste and basically abandoned because we've shit on our planet so much we can't live there anymore.
We've shit on it. Literally.
Literally, yeah. Wally, the waste allocation load lifter Earth class, is seemingly the only thing functional, and he spends his days packing rubbish up into squares and neatly placing them somewhere, trying to clean the planet up on his own. You see giant ones around that are just no longer working. Wally's the only one going. There's a cockroach friend, like his little Disney pal. And he is a robot, but, we kind of see that he's developed feelings, He's lonely for sure.
Watches that film every day, doesn't he? What?
Yeah. I think it's a made-up film,
Football
if I remember
Factory.
rightly.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Football Factory. Danny Dyer.
I wish I had a firm.
I wish the firms were still here.
Isn't it Hello Dolly?
Maybe it's not. I'm sure I read it was made up somewhere, but it might not be. I'll happily be corrected. I should have looked it up. I'm sorry. I didn't do my research.
This is why Liam does that extra prep time, Karl. He gets the details sorted.
So he gets up every day. He leaves his little house and takes on the mammoth task of clearing the world's rubbish on his own. And he must know that it's impossible for him to do it. Well, what's his battery life? Who knows? He could do it for 1 million years maybe, but it's a endless, pointless task. But he keeps on going. A little bit like supporting England. The result is never going to be what we want, but we keep supporting anyway. After his day's work, he goes home and he collects little special things in his little house, which is nice to kind of keep him going. He watches the film, which Liam said is Hello Dolly. I'm not sure, it might be.
Sounds like bullshit.
And his favourite part of it is where the man and the woman are dancing, they hold hands. And while he puts his little hands together,
yeah.
And you feel heartbroken for him that he's all alone. All Wally's dreaming of is having someone to hold hands with. It's not a big dream, is it?
Brilliant thing about the first half of Wally is there's basically no lines.
Yeah.
No lines spoken for the whole first half of the film.
It's such a wonderful film.
It's amazing, yeah.
What happens then? Eve comes to Earth, or Eva, as Wally says, and she's she's an extraterrestrial vegetation evaluator, Eve, and Wally finds love finally. Although she tries to blast him and destroy him. So, Wally's hopes come true. He keeps on going, and eventually it all comes good. And eventually it may do for England, hopefully in your lifetime. So just keep going, okay?
That was a stretch of Liam proportions. And you actually pulled it off. That was a brilliant stretch.
I'm
well
always
done.
pulling it off.
I'm a master of pulling it off.
The biggest irony of Wally is that it's a real fuck you to big corporations and what you're going to do to the planet. Because by and large, it's like they own everything. By and large, this, by and large, that.
And it's made by Disney.
And it's now made by Disney and now own everything. So we have a very short and quick quiz, asshole.
Oh, nice.
What do Disney own? And so I'm going to name some brands or companies, and you say if they own them or not.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll buzz in. Aaron, buzzer. Liam?
Wally.
Oh, I should have done Wally themed
Wally
buzzer.
and Eva. What about Wally and Eva?
All right, yeah.
Go on, yeah.
Eva.
We'll start on an easy one. Marvel.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, Wally.
Oh, fuck. Eva.
Marvel is owned by Disney.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, 1-0 to Liam. Fox.
Eva.
Aaron?
Yeah.
Yep. Sony.
Eva.
Aaron?
No.
2-1.
I shouldn't buzz in when I think the answer's no. I should. No, I definitely should.
Sky.
Wally.
Liam?
No.
Yes.
What?
3-1.
Did you know
Really?
that?
What? B Sky B?
Yeah, it's apparently on the infographic I looked at.
Fuck me.
Part of Fox.
Me
world.
fuck me. B Sky B.
3-1 Aaron. Oh no, 3-1. National Geographic.
No, Eva. Fuck, why have I got 2 buzzers?
Aaron?
Yes.
Yes I do. 4-1. Nickelodeon.
Wally.
Eva. Oh.
Give it to Liam.
No.
No, 4-2. Very good. History Channel.
Eva. Yes.
Yes.
I've just realised what this is. It's a penalty shootout.
It's just as much chance of winning as a penalty shootout. You might as well just take a shot.
BT.
Wally.
Liam.
No.
No, they don't. But they do own BT Sport.
Oh.
5-3. ESPN.
Eva. Yes.
Yep. 6-3. ABC.
Wally. No.
Yes. 7-3. The Muppets.
What, do I get the point? Because he got it wrong.
Wally. The Muppets is definitely owned by Disney.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because they've got rides and everything.
But, well, we'll go on to it.
But, yeah, not all of their rides have been owned by them. But then they eventually just buy it up
They
anyway,
do.
don't
Like,
they?
I didn't know for a long, long time they didn't own Pixar. They were just producing
Yeah.
films for Disney. Then they eventually thought, they started getting uppity about the merchandise income, saying like, "Why are you getting all your merchandise income?" And it's like, "All right, fuck yeah, we'll buy you."
Yeah. It's basically just like Facebook and any other huge evil company. You're becoming competition to us. So we're either going to destroy you or buy you.
Would you like $4 billion? Lucasfilm.
Wally.
Oh, Eva, fuck off.
Yes.
Yep, 6-5 coming back. Kiss FM.
Wally.
Eva.
No.
Yes.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
7-5. Playboy.
Wally. No way. Are you going to say yes?
No, it's not. No.
Pixar are shortly going to make Hugh Hefner's life story into a film.
But you could believe it, couldn't you?
It's just the way we both hesitated. Like, really? No.
No.
Could it be?
He would make a good Pixar film, though, wouldn't he? He could have a little bunny sidekick.
Touchstone Pictures.
Eva. Yes.
Yep. And Miramax.
Wally.
Yep.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Bloody hell.
86. So, loads of well-known brands Disney own, so they are
Yeah.
actually by and large.
Yeah. I think I'm going to agree with you, Karl, completely.
Wally.
Your point being, life goes on and you just have to get over that disappointment and move on to the next tournament or thing to hope for, basically. Just like Wally did. Just keep plugging away at life until something good comes along. And to prove it, that life does go on and that these disappointments aren't, life-crushing in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to give you some of the biggest disappointments in book-to-film adaptations. And life went on after each of these. The first one is fairly fresh in the memory because it was a big on-screen disappointment. But it wasn't book to film, it was book to series. Game of Thrones. Books by George R.R. Martin. Show by David Benioff and
Weiss and
Vice,
Benioff,
on HBO.
It wasn't a disappointment at first, was it?
Exactly.
It was
It
good
only
at first.
really turned into a disappointment when it overtook the source material.
Yeah.
And even then, I still quite liked it. Like, they weren't doing a terrible job.
No.
I didn't think.
It went downhill, but not dramatically until the last
Yeah.
series. Yeah.
And then in the last series is when it became a really big disappointment. We had faith in the writers when they left their source material because of how well they'd done up to that point. And I saw a documentary about how they got it, and they were in a conversation. They were like nobodies. They hadn't produced a big show like that before. But they had a conversation with George R.R. Martin where they gave their theories of how it was going to end. And he was so impressed with how right they'd got it that he was like, yeah, you can make the series. Apparently, that's how they got it.
The funny thing is, they just before the last series, they got hired to make a Star Wars trilogy. And then the last series came out and they were like, actually, no.
Exactly. So yeah, everyone had faith in them because of how well they'd done, and then they just seemed to shit themselves with their trousers on. In Series 8, they just completely fucked it. They just went, we can't be arsed with this anymore. They had 2 years. They made an 8-episode series when all the other series had been 10 or 13 or something.
Do you think they wanted to make it, they had to make it a surprise or a shock, or they didn't know how to deliver or what the audience wanted anymore, did they?
No.
Because you can't end it in a nice way. You can't end it where it actually all ties up neatly. It has to be, wow.
Yeah.
And they just fucking blew their load.
Blew their load. All over their own show.
So
they didn't even clean it up.
Whilst they had the shitty trousers on.
What a mess.
And as I say, life went on. It's one of the biggest disappointments in TV, but here we are today, still watching TV. So it hasn't turned us off TV.
Have you seen the trailer to the House of Dragon?
I haven't.
It looks fucking good.
Does it? And they've got nothing to do with it, have they? So
No.
it should be a little bit better. Other examples, The Lovely Bones, which is a book by Alice Sebold.
Susie Salmon is the main character.
Is it?
I've seen the film.
Ah.
Hannah read the book. Oh,
Did you
my
like
wife
the
read
film?
book. It's all right.
It's a murder mystery narrated by the victim, who was a teenage girl who was
Susie
killed
Salmon.
by Susie Salmon, who was...
Is she a salmon?
Yeah. Do you remember I'm a little yellow fish in a deep blue sea? That's from this film. We're gonna find out who murdered me. Hugely popular book. The film only has a 32% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
My wife was disappointed with it. She liked the book.
I hated the book. There's a weird bit at the end where she possesses the body of her friend to have sex with someone.
That is weird. Maybe she didn't like it. Maybe I'm making it up.
No, it is hugely popular, and that's why people were so disappointed with the film, because it didn't meet up to their expectations. I haven't seen the film, but I've read the book, and because I take so long to read books, the ending just pissed me off so much. I was like, this is so fucking shit. Anyway, Scarlet Letter, which is a book by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Very old book. Made into a film in 1995 starring Demi Moore and Gary Oldman. Not Gary Newman.
Is there an even older film as well? Is that not
Yeah, it's
Easy
been
A's
adapted
based
a few times.
Yeah, Easy A is like loosely related to it, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is a great film.
Very great film. Spelling in the P's. So that's at school she gets called something and she says, I can't say it in front of her little brother. And it's just Stanley Tucci, her dad and the mum, they go, spell it in the P's. Me and my wife do that all the time.
A quote from The Independent on Sunday about that 1995 film adaptation. Hawthorne's moral seriousness gets lost in a sea of slush. So people still like to imagine what good adaptations of those books would look like. And in fact, as you said, Karl, some of them have been readapted into more successful films like Easy A. So why don't you just spend your time during these disappointments, Kevin Keegan, imagining what it would be like for England to lift a major trophy? Because that is where the fun lies in these things. As we said right at the beginning, the fun lies in the hoping, the build-up. So just hope for the next one. And if that didn't make you feel better, there's one more example that I've got that is an example of why you should hope for the next time, because the book series Dune by Frank Herbert is a good example of...
Just downloaded these on Audible to listen to, yeah.
Well, there's no spoilers, don't worry, because I haven't even read them.
No. I want to see the film, though.
The 1984 film adaptation didn't really go down very well with critics. It's only got a 48% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But if fans were hoping for the next good adaptation, their hopes were rewarded in 2000 when a mini-series was made on the Sci-Fi Channel, which was apparently really good. And there's another film adaptation out right now. It's probably not out now.
No, it'll be
when
out.
this episode is aired.
End of October.
It was out recently. Just wait for it on Blu-ray now or on streaming services.
Apparently, on that one, Denis Villeneuve, the director, spent 11 months creating the space worm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I usually have... if I have a big meal, it will take a few hours and a coffee, like a strong coffee, and then I'll create you a space worm. 11 months.
He was stewing that one, wasn't he?
That must have been a fucking bad space worm in the end. So just like Dune fans, you could move on from each disappointment by just looking forward to the next try, because unlike Dune fans, they had to wait from 1984 to 2000 for the next good adaptation, but for England to win a major trophy in football, you really only have to wait 2 years for the next try.
It's true.
And in fact, this year, I can say that confidently this time because I know this episode's going out this year. This year, you only have to wait 1 year between those two major trophies because we had an unusual year.
That's true. I started thinking about what we can learn from history here.
That's a different podcast.
It's time for history art. No, what? Well, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, well, the first time Free Lions was released in 96, England was ablaze with anticipation. Everyone thought, we're hosting the Euros. Football is quite literally coming home, but then it's going to metaphorically come home at the end of it as well.
We should have said it should stay home.
Yeah, it's
staying
home. And we had a world-class team, but we could only make it to the semi-final. We lost on penalties. So how did we manage our expectations back then? Well, the answer is we didn't really.
We did the song again 2
The
years
first
later.
line of the 98 recording of Free Lions is, "We still believe." We still believe it's coming home. And it was unapologetic in its hopefulness. And, of course, we inevitably lost in the round of 16. But the telling thing here, if you look at the chart positions for Free Lions over the years since, is you can see a pretty clear pattern. Every World Cup year, it comes back into the charts. So I thought this might be a good opportunity.
I thought you were going to say, like Karl's thing, where it's England are slowly progressing up the table of the tournaments, that song was slowly progressing upwards. But then I thought, actually, it probably went to number one in 96 and 98.
It's probably regressing, yeah.
So
It annoys me that David Baddiel's probably making a lot of money every 2 years off of that.
well,
Yeah, fuck David Baddiel.
let's find out exactly how much money he's making, because I thought it might be a good opportunity to take a leaf out of Karl's book and play a game of higher or lower. So,
Don't you mean a game of...
Quiz asshole.
if you like. So the initial release in 96 reached number one, but that wasn't a World Cup year. So the next World Cup year was 98. So from number one, do you think 98 was higher or lower?
Oh, in the chart?
Yeah.
So when we say higher in the chart, are we saying a lower number? Or... That's the way charts work.
Take me higher than number one.
Right, so if you...
It was number one in 96.
Yeah, so if you...
Can I say same?
If you want to say the same, I'll let you, because it's a bit unfair if I don't.
Same.
They'll just give away the answer there. Yeah.
It's a bit unfair if I don't, because then you'll get it wrong.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Right, well done, Karl.
So he's definitely lower than now.
Karl gets a point. Aaron,
Lower,
4 years later in 2002,
lower in
you
the
think
chart.
it was lower than number one. You can say same if you want. It's a bit unfair if I don't let you. Just let Karl.
I'm going to say lower.
Yeah, you're right. It was number 16 in 2002. So
we
that's
didn't believe
1-1.
that.
Now the game's on.
Yeah.
So Karl, 2006. Do you think it was higher or lower than number 16?
Well, that's the year the song was that Embrace one, which is shit. So I'm going to say higher.
You are right. Number 9 in 2006. So the next year was 2010. Higher or lower than number 9, Aaron?
And a deck on the ball year.
Is it?
How do you have encyclopedic knowledge of the official football songs for England in the World Cup?
Especially since we played a game where we had to name football songs and we ran out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been studying studying them in the
It might come
meantime.
up again, yeah. I knew this
Next
would
time
happen.
we play that game, I'm going to fucking win it. I would say lower.
You are right to go lower.
Oh.
It was number 10.
Oh!
So, Carl, 2014, do you think it was higher or lower than number 10?
Shakira Waka Waka. No, that was 2010 actually. What's South Africa? That was 2010, wasn't it? Yeah.
Don't remember.
Higher.
You are incorrect, Carl. It's number 27.
Oh, we
2014,
didn't believe that year, did we?
Which brings us to
didn't believe.
2018, higher or lower than number 27?
Higher.
Number 1 in 2018.
What? Why would he
That's when we started believing again, Carl.
So Aaron's winning on 3-2. But Carl, I'll give you a chance.
If you can correctly guess where it's going to be in 2022.
I'll give you a bonus round on 2021.
Same. Number 1.
You think it's same number 1? No, it's number 4. Aaron wins.
I thought it had got to number 1 again.
Yeah, I did as well. But no. Apparently we were less bothered about reaching the final than we were about reaching the semi-final of the World Cup.
Good one, Liam.
Yeah, good game.
And what was the point of that? Well, we are a nation of optimists. We cannot help ourselves getting excited about England winning the World Cup every 4 years.
Except the year is number 27.
Yeah, except that one, yeah.
Well, we were a little bit excited. Just
Yeah.
not top 10
Well,
excited.
like getting into the top 40 is hard work. So
Yeah.
27 is pretty good in that regard. And yeah, even though history tells us it's not going to happen, every single World Cup we get really excited and everyone buys that record or whatever you do these days.
So how much
downloads
money
it.
did David Biddle make?
I don't know.
No.
Quite a lot.
I thought you said you could tell us.
So here's my advice. Just embrace it. Maybe, but don't listen to the Embrace song. Maybe get together with some friends and get excited about it together. Watch the tournament, and just try not to be too disappointed when we inevitably lose, because we probably will.
Inevitably. Jeez.
But like I said earlier, competitive sport, it wouldn't be interesting if one team won all their games all the time.
Be quite interesting if England won it once, though, wouldn't it?
I think we're pretty agreed, though, aren't we? We've said, hang in there.
Find a way to temper that disappointment, basically.
Disappointment happens, but keep at it, and one day you might be happy. A ranger came a-ranging to Old Town one fine day. The townsfolk came to meet him. They heard what he had to say. He said, I hear this town's got problems, some outlaws on the run, and I've come to solve these problems with my problem gun. Word soon got to these outlaws about a ranger new in town, and they soon came out of hiding to put this ranger down. They laughed when they first saw him beneath the high noon sun, but he soon stopped them from laughing with his problem gun. Problem gun, problem gun. Yeah, the ranger solved their problems with his problem gun. Let's move on to problem 2. My daughter turns 18 next week and she's desperate to get a tattoo. I hate tattoos and I've been telling her how terrible it's going to look and that she'll regret it for the rest of her life, but she just won't listen. How can I stop her making such a huge mistake? So, I've never had a tattoo. My granddad got a few when he was in the army, and it was one of his regrets. He always used to say something along the lines of, yeah, you think it looks great at the time, but look how stupid it looks now, and then show me his arm.
What was it?
It was some sort of bird. I can't remember exactly what. But I know you two both have tattoos. So do you ever worry about regrets?
Not really. Aaron's always said he wants to be covered in them, haven't you, Aaron?
I would love to be, but
What,
my
like
wife
face
doesn't.
and everything?
Not face, but if I was famous or independently wealthy and didn't need a job, I would have them all over my hands. I think hand tattoos are great, can be great. Some of them can be shit. A lot of tattoos can be shit. What I always think, though, when people talk about you'll regret it when you're 80, or think how terrible that will look when you're 80, I think I'm not exactly, when I'm 80, going to be looking in the mirror going, I would be fit as fuck if it wasn't for those tattoos.
Also,
Look at this big dangly, wrinkly ball bag that I call my body, because my whole body has turned into a wrinkly ball bag. And those tattoos that ruin it.
Yeah, it really takes the edge off. And also, like, I would say maybe even 50% of people under 40 have tattoos now. Maybe. Like, it's that high. How many people have tattoos?
You don't sound very certain.
I'm not very certain, but a lot of people. So you're going to be amongst a load of 80-year-olds with tattoos.
Yeah, by then it will be cool. And you'll be going to kids, you're going to regret it not getting a tattoo. Think how stupid you'll look when you're 80, all wrinkly and tattoo-less.
You little ball bag.
I'm just Googling percentage of millennials, I'm going to look up, with tattoos. That's the top search.
Well, high or low? I'm saying 50 plus, Liam. What are you
Everything
saying?
is a higher or lower game to us.
I think it's less than 50. I don't believe it's more than 50.
What did you say? You said more, he said less
than
50. So close. 47%.
Oh, that is a lot higher than I was
pretty good,
expecting.
isn't it?
Yeah. 15% of millennials have 5 or more pieces of body art,
Is that what we're calling that?
according to the Wall Street Journal. I've got a quote from a writer, but maybe we should think of a name first. Or maybe I'll use this writer's name
Go on then, yeah.
as the name. Is it me, or does everyone, and maybe as a tattooed person, my view is skewed on this, but is it me, or is everyone who slags off tattoos and has an angry rant and says, I hate tattoos and stuff, sound kind of jealous and insecure about it? Like, they're kind of saying, they're kind of lashing out at tattoos rather than it's something
Do you
they
hear that
genuinely
often?
don't like.
I don't really talk to people about tattoos much.
My mother-in-law hates tattoos,
Right.
but she wouldn't have a rant about it. She's just kind of turned her nose up. But a lot of people do, yeah. I had a conversation once with someone at work when I was joining the company as a graduate years ago. We met an executive, all the grads, and she was going, and I didn't even have any tattoos then, I don't think, but people were talking about tattoos, and she said, why would you want to get tattoos? She was American. She was like, why would you want to get tattoos? One day you'll be a manager of people, and how are you going to explain why you've got tattoos to them? I was like, why would I have to explain why I've got tattoos to my employees? Like, they're not going to respect me. I'm not listening to you, boss. You've got tattoos.
Everybody conference room. I've got something to tell you.
But anyway, here's a rant, Liam. Truman Capote. So we're calling this person Truman.
Truman Show.
Yep. Truman Capote of The Truman Show said, there's something really the matter with people who wear tattoos. There's at least some terrible story. I know from experience that there's always something terribly flawed about people who are tattooed. Above some little something that Johnny had done in the Navy, even though that's a bad sign, it's terrible. Psychologically, it's crazy. Most people who are tattooed, it's the sign of some feeling of inferiority. They're trying to establish some macho identification for themselves.
Checks out.
Doesn't that sound to you like Truman Capote
Really wanted a tattoo.
Yeah, was insecure about it. Like, self-hating people. Well, people with tattoos are shit, so I didn't even want one. Fucking idiot, Truman.
You know.
Anyway, I'm going to steal the show here. And since I started with a quote, I'm going to start with my example as well. And it might be the most obvious one you can think of. What's a book with...
Girl with a Dragon Tattoo.
Yep. By Stieg Larsson.
Aaron Googled books about tattoos, and it was the first one that came up.
Have you read these?
I've read the first one, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and I didn't like it, so I didn't continue.
I did like it.
Yeah, people are mad about them.
Yeah,
aren't
I've
they?
been
Some
trying to
people.
read this book for about 3 years, and I just can't get into it.
Yeah, it's hard work for me, it was, so I didn't... But as I say, some people absolutely love them, and they just can't get enough.
Yeah. Well, I'm not in that camp, but I read all 3.
No, Karl. It's either you love it and you can't get enough, or you hated it.
I loved it and I couldn't get enough. Well, I didn't read the last one that his son finished off or something. The one that...
Yeah, someone else wrote it, didn't it? Oh, I thought it was completely written by someone else, but no, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Nobody knows.
It's one of life's mysteries.
So yeah, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Tattoos are such a big part of Lisbeth Solander's life that they made it all the way into the title of the book. And as someone who has read Girl with the Dragon Tattoo will know, she is brilliant. And her tattoos didn't hold her back, did they?
No. They were on her back, though, weren't they?
They were on her back, but they didn't hold her back. If anything, her back held them. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is about... I didn't do this in advance, and I should have. I wanted to make it a one-sentence blurb because...
Isn't it about a girl with a dragon tattoo?
It's quite a long book, and I kind of wanted to just make it a little thing, like a two-sentence summary or something, because the plot isn't relevant to what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this character was a brilliant person who achieves everything she wants to because she's so driven and smart, and her tattoos didn't hold her back. But I didn't do that in advance, so just take it from me, listeners. And I have read this one, as I say, so you really can take it from me. Who's next?
Is that literally what you're going to say?
The film was quite good with Daniel Craig and...
Yeah.
Numi Respas?
And I think it was David Fincher as well, wasn't it? Directed. Who we gushed about a few episodes ago.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, David Fincher. He's going to direct the film of the show. Agony art.
So, if you think of the most obvious book, you know, I did a similar thing and thought of what's the most obvious film.
So you went with the girl with the dragon tattoo?
Obviously, I went with The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, directed by Irvin Kershner.
The Empire Strikes Back, did you say?
Yeah.
Who's got a tattoo in that? Tatooine.
Very good, Liam. Very good. No, I've gone down the route of pushy parents trying to force their views on you. And probably the most famous line in the Star Wars saga or in film in general is, "Luke, I am your father." As Darth Vader reveals himself as Luke Skywalker's father.
Oh, spoilers. Fucking hell.
As Homer Simpson spoiled in The Simpsons. And Luke says, "No, that's impossible." It's really terrible, his response, isn't it?
I thought that was an impression of Ralph Wiggum.
I can never think of that
My
scene.
cat's name is Mittens.
I can never think of that scene without thinking about that internet animation they did with the Star Wars rap. Do you remember it? And he was like, "Obi-Wan would never bother telling you about your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. Well, there is something I must reveal then. I'm your father.
I remember
I'm
this.
your father."
I remember that.
I've never seen this.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it sounded like go to Deagle bar as well, wasn't it? Yeah, it was great. So Darth Vader is a pretty pushy parent. He stalks his son across the galaxy.
Dad, get off my case.
He stalks his son across the
Do your homework.
He stalks his son across the galaxy and sets a trap for him by holding his friends hostage and encasing one in carbonite, all to try and convince Luke to join him so they can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Take over the family business.
Well, the Sith rule of two, isn't it? So, which is quite funny because if he says yes, then he becomes his apprentice, and that means you have to kill the Emperor. So maybe Luke should have done it if it would have kind of greater good.
Guys, I'm not really joining the dark side. It's just a ploy to kill the Emperor.
Luke says no, obviously, so he pounds him with his lightsaber.
This isn't the cinematic version you're talking about, is it?
This version I saw online.
This is the Empire's got back. Pound me with your lightsaber. In my dark side.
Oh, God. He tries to convince him that his path is turning to the dark side. But Luke refuses, and instead of joining him in Empire Strikes Back, he just falls into a chasm in Cloud City. I don't know whether he thinks he might be just killing himself, but he ends up at the bottom of the city and he gets saved by Leia and Han Solo. No, not Han Solo, he's in Carbonite. By Princess Leia and Chewbacca. And then in Return of the Jedi in 1983, Luke and Vader lock their laser swords again.
Again, you bought this copy off a man in a pub, didn't you?
in the final act of the trilogy, and this time Luke's trying to lure his father back to the light. And he says, "If there is good in you, I know it."
And if there isn't, I'll put some good in you.
But Darth Sidious, or the evil emperor, he lashes Luke with his
Did you write it like this intentionally?
I'm trying to make it a bit more, like... He lashes Luke with his force lightning.
I am going to complete on your face.
And Luke pleads with his father to save him, which he eventually does, killing the Emperor. But by killing the Emperor, he also kills himself because the Emperor's force lightning goes all over him.
Everyone's covered in his force lightning.
Oh my god. So, Luke was right. There was good in Vader. And he managed to extract it from him.
Through unusual methods.
But where are you going with this?
Well, if Luke was right and his father was wrong, then maybe his daughter's right and she should get the tattoo.
Your daughter should get a tattoo, Truman.
Exactly. I'm glad you follow.
That was the obvious example. You were right, Karl. In fact, I think you should be ashamed of yourself for choosing it because it's too obvious.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, very good.
I don't know if I can follow that. Well, one of the things I think I've learned in adulthood is that don't listen to Karl's film plots. No, it's very difficult, I think, to learn from other people's mistakes, especially if they're trying to force that knowledge onto you. I think there's some things you just have to experience for yourself before you truly understand like what people are trying to tell you about it. Particularly when it comes to parents talking to their children, sometimes they just don't want to listen. Bloody kids. And I think Cyndi Lauper's 1983 hit, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, is a great example of this. This song, did you know, was originally recorded in 1979 by new wave songwriter Robert Hazard and recorded by his band Robert Hazard and the Heroes.
Of course we knew that.
I think it's fair to say his version is practically unknown. It's a bit of a shame because it's quite different. And in the original, it seems like he's saying he's finding it hard to settle down with a girl because all the girls he meets just want to have fun and they don't want to stay with him, sort of thing. And
all these girls want to have fun. They don't want to be with me.
They don't want to be miserable with me.
It did strike me as like a stereotypical new wave attitude. But Lauper's version has quite a different tone, and she's basically saying, "Look, I just want to have fun. Leave it out, Mum and Dad." And that's the point I'm making. I think people need to be in a certain frame of mind to accept life advice, particularly from their parents. So, Truman, I think you need to be careful about how you frame this if you want your daughter to listen at all. And even if they do listen, you need to prepare yourself for the fact that they might not agree with you and might not take the advice at all. Because, she's her own person. She can do what she wants. She can make her own mistakes if indeed it is a mistake. Might not be. And that's it, really, from me.
You could say that Truman's daughter should be saying to him, "Papa, don't preach."
Or
what's the words?
I'm in a tattoo parlour. Yeah,
So
I agree, Liam. You have to let your kids make their own mistakes, don't you?
Yeah.
And we say this wisely as two non-parents.
So maybe
Two
we're totally
childless
wrong. What's your problem? There's no use trying to pretend you haven't got one. The three of us are here to lend a friendly ear and help you out with all that strife that's lately marked your life. Why not divulge it? You never know, we may have tips that help you solve it. We know it's unlikely, but it's an impossibility if you don't share your problem. On to problem 3, and our last problem this episode. I just got a new girlfriend.
well done, Liam.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done, but let's read out the problem, mate.
My best mate is so jealous that I think he's trying to sabotage it. He says nasty things and then pretends he was joking. He says, I'm only joking. He arranges nights out.
Well, no sexual girlfriend, no joking.
Maybe we created this monster.
He arranges nights out and he doesn't invite her, and he tries to make her jealous by constantly bringing up my exes. I know he probably feels like I've abandoned him and he's one of the last people in our friendship group still single, but we've all got to grow up and settle down at some point, and I don't want him to ruin this for me. What should I do?
That's bad form, Liam. I'm sorry. Usually, reading the problem is usually gospel. There's
It
no
usually is, yeah.
no interruption, yeah.
Our interruption of Liam has got to such a point that we can't even let him finish the problems.
When you listen back to the podcast, do you interrupt me then as well?
Yeah. When I'm editing it, I go,
Shut up, Liam.
I'll stop it, go on a little tangent with myself.
So I think if the art is anything to go by, this type of jealousy happens quite a lot. But maybe this is indicative of my boring life. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like this. Have you two?
I've known people who get very stroppy with their friends when they get boyfriends. Start acting like, oh, you've abandoned me. You're not even my friend anymore because you never see me. But maybe I'll come to this anyway, but I just think these people need to grow up. Just like, as he says in his letter to us, we've all got to grow up at some point. And you have to accept that your friends are going to meet people. They're not going to be able to hang around with you as much anymore.
Yeah.
I can't believe that adults have to be told that.
No, and it's weird because our friendship group, like we see each other when we do this podcast pretty much, and maybe like a social probably once a quarter at most, but we're not any less friends. But we've all kind of done that together. We all are quite content with, we've got our daily lives, we're all friends still, and we meet up when it suits all of us, and we have a good laugh.
Yeah.
It's quite sad that some people have to like have teenage friendship all the time still with adulthood.
Yeah, exactly. You must see me within every couple of weeks, or we're not friends anymore.
Fine. It's quite easy. Skip one.
Exactly, yeah. So maybe we should think of a name before
good point.
go into our examples, which say exactly what we've just said.
Jealous friend.
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell.
She's jealous of Peter Pan and Wendy, isn't she?
Is she?
Yeah.
In Hook, yeah.
And she in
Peter Pan as well.
Yeah, she like sides with Hook at one point, isn't she?
Well, should we call her Tink?
Tink, yeah. She tells Hook where the...
She's played by Julia Roberts in Hook,
Yeah,
isn't
she's
she?
dreadful,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we love her, don't we? But she's dreadful with it.
Is she? I'm going to have to watch that film again to remind myself of it.
Hook.
I haven't seen it for years. Yeah.
This reminded me of a not relatively recent. This song is 7 years old. I couldn't believe this. I feel really old these days. Every time I look up a song, I'm like, how old is this? How is this song this old?
Well, you're just 32. Try being 33.
Oh, God.
Carl's been through it all.
Look, this reminded me of a Nick Jonas song from 2014, apparently, called Jealous. You know this one? Still get jealous.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's really about a jealous lover, but I think it rings true for Tink's friend. In this song, Nick Jonas sings, "You're too fucking beautiful and everybody wants a taste." I don't think that was in the radio edit, but that's what he sings. And that's why I still get jealous. And this sounds like your friend to me, Tink. He's acting like a jealous lover. And when you think about it, it's really a testament to how highly he regards you. Like Nick Jonas, he thinks you're brilliant and everybody wants a piece of you, and that's why he's jealous. So my advice here is pretty simple. It's short and sweet. It's we're going back to classic Agony art advice. Sit down, have a chat. Tell him you're still friends and you're not going to walk out of his life, because that's probably what he's afraid of. And like we say...
Maybe you hit on it earlier. Maybe Tink's friend is actually jealous of the relationship. He secretly had a crush on Tink all this time.
I mean, Tink's pretty special. She can fly.
Yeah.
And she can give other people the power to fly.
Oh, shit.
I'm going a slightly different direction. 2009, I Love You Man. Anyone seen this? Directed by John Hamburg.
It rings a bell. I don't think
It's got a famous comedy actor in it, hasn't
It's
it?
Paul Rudd.
Yes.
What's the other guy called? Jason Segel.
All right.
It's like that kind of film, do you know?
He's half seagull, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's why every line is just...
Game of Wonders. Yeah, it's one of those kind of Judd Apatow-esque comedies.
I think they were called the Frat Pack, weren't
Frat
they?
Pack. Yeah, I was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. So Peter Paul Rudd,
Peter Paul Rudd.
Peter, played by Paul Rudd, proposes to his girlfriend, played by
Peter, played by Paul Rudd, proposes with a peck of pickled peppers.
What's his girlfriend's name?
Piper. Proposes to Piper with a peck of pickled peppers.
Peter. I actually did that quite seamlessly as well, which is strange for me.
Now you're thinking about it, you won't be able to say it
you
again.
weren't thinking of it, yeah.
Peter, played by Paul Rudd, proposes to his girlfriend, played by Rashida Jones, and her name's Zoe, but it's spelled Zoey. Zoe.
Spelled Poey.
Poey.
Did you know Rashida Jones is Quincy Jones's daughter?
You've said that before,
We've had
I
this,
think.
yeah.
I think it was in our WhatsApp group, not on the
Oh,
podcast.
really?
Yeah.
Another Agony art fact.
Brought to you by WhatsApp.
If you'd like to be involved in the Agony Art WhatsApp group, you can join our Patreon.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yes.
There'll be like 3 people in it. Us.
Paying for our own Patreon subscription.
So yeah, he proposes to Zoe, and then he thinks, I've got to appoint a best man. But he realises he's got no male friends at all. He's got acquaintances, but usually through other people, but he's got no actual friends. And he spends most of his time with Zoe and her friends. So he tries various things to like find a friend, like almost auditions people or just spends time with random men in his life to see if they get their best man material. He tries to impress Barry, which is Zoe's best friend's husband, with a beer drinking contest, but he throws up all over him. He's played by John Favreau and doesn't like him anyway. So that doesn't go well. He almost gives up, but he meets Sydney, played by Jason Segel, at an open house because Peter's in real estate and he's trying to sell Lou Ferrigno's house.
Hulk.
The Hulk, exactly.
Oh.
So Lou Ferrigno's having an open house, trying to invite people. Sydney turns up. He says he just likes to go see things to meet divorced women. Nice guy. And they have a lot in common, including a love for the band Rush. They start spending a lot of time together and they become good friends. And things happen in a very short space of time. And predictably, Zoe doesn't like Peter's attention being diverted. So she's like, you need male friends. But then when he gets a male friend, she's like, oh, you don't spend enough time with me.
Nah.
So Peter ends up ending his relationship with Sydney. Oof. Because it's, in the things happen, like he lends they've only known each other a couple of weeks, and Sydney's like, "Can you lend me $8,000?" And he's like, "Okay then." So you're led to think he's a bit of a con artist, but he actually spends that $8,000 on billboards to help Peter sell Lou Ferrigno's place, and he does do it. And he gets loads of other leads as well. Turns out he doesn't need money because he's a good investor and he's got loads of money himself. So they repair the relationship. Zoe ends up phoning Sydney and says, look, he's a bit sad about you. Can you come and be best man? He's already on the way to the wedding on a Vespa at this point. So he ends up at the wedding. Lou Ferrigno's also one of the best men at this point. And he performs his best man duties. So the advice is twofold. You've got options here. A, you and your friend seek a third band member. Audition. Go and find another friend to kind of share the attention. Or B,
you basically want to make this friend the new friend's problem, don't you?
yeah. Or B, just tell your mate to find a new friend himself.
I think so far I'd probably go with Liam's advice more because that was sensible. Sit down and talk to him about it. Tell him the problem rather than
tell him to fuck off.
We veered off sensible a very long time ago, though. I'm strangely bringing it back. He's bringing sensible back.
Yeah.
These other boys don't know how to act. Well, I'm going to not be sensible as well with you, Karl. Yes. I've recently read The Power of the Dog by Thomas Savage. And in this book, Phil and George are brothers who run a ranch given to them by their parents, who've retired from ranching and moved to Salt Lake City. And they're very different brothers. Phil is rugged, tall, intelligent, proud, and he prides himself on being a very macho man. He's got He has a bath once a month, which he's very proud of.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What a man.
Oh, I'm not a man if I don't stink. He never wears gloves so that his hands are all rough and calloused. And he rarely does anything as vain as cutting his hair or changing for dinner. So he's a bit of a dick, really. He's loud and he's brash and he always shares his opinion. And he kind of, it's not only that he doesn't mind if people take offence to it, he actually takes pleasure in offending people by being too honest and, sharing his nasty opinions. Whereas George, the other brother, is stocky, short, quiet, and a bit of a slow learner. And where Phil is quick to judge and he likes to be cruel, George is very slow at making decisions and he considers people's feelings. And normally when Phil has offended someone, George kind of reassures them afterwards and, calms them down. He's nowhere near as physically capable or intelligent as Phil, but he's far more likeable out of the two brothers. Anyway, they've been single forever, and they're like 38 and 40, I think. And they're so used to being single brothers that live in the house that they grew up in that they still share a bedroom. They just sleep, in two single beds in the same bedroom. But one day, George meets a widow in town called Rose and falls head over heels in love and marries her. Before Phil knows it, some money-grabbing woman, he reckons, because they're very rich, these ranchers, has moved into his house and he's furious, so he makes it his mission to destroy her. But there's something he doesn't count on. Her son. Phil initially thinks he's a sissy, which is Phil's word for him.
He baths twice a month.
Yeah. He regularly bathes, reads books, and he's never ridden a horse. What a sissy. But then he comes up with a plan. He thinks he can hurt Rose by taking the kid under his wing and, becoming friends with him. But he doesn't realise that this quiet, intelligent, and he's quite a cold kid. Like, he seems a bit weird. I think he's doing taxidermy in his room. Yeah, he'll skin animals and stuff them in his room. And that's all you taxidermists out there. I'm not saying that's weird. It's just when your kid's quite cold and he's doing that of his own volition in his bedroom, I think most people would be a little bit put off by that. Is there something wrong with my kid? Picking up dead animals all the time? Anyway, so what he doesn't count on is that this kid is onto him. He knows
taxidermies him.
He knows what he's up to. So this kid, when Phil starts to take him under his wing, actually sucks up to Phil and acts like he's really impressed with his teachings, all with a plan to get revenge on his mother's behalf. Now, if you don't want this book spoilt for you, listeners, I would press the plus 30-second button now to skip this. Spoiler, this kid works out a way to get anthrax into Phil's system and kills him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now, in this story, George was too scared to stand up to Phil. The quiet brother was too scared to stand up to his brash, rude, nasty brother. And the fact that he was being a dickhead to his brother's new wife was obvious, but George did nothing because he was too meek and too slow to action. And if he had had the guts to fix it, then his brother wouldn't have come to such harm. I'm trying not to spoil it again, because I only pressed plus 30 once. Now, I'm not going to suggest that someone, if you don't take action, is going to come and kneecap your friend for you. But I am saying that what you should do is what George couldn't, and have a word with your friend before something extreme happens. Like, for example, probably closer to the truth, your girlfriend leaving you because your best mate's being a bellend. Sit your best mate down and say, look, you're ruining a good thing for me here by being a prick. So stop being a prick.
That is genuinely good advice.
Thanks. I came up with it all on my own. With the help of a book.
So we're basically saying have a chat, apart from Karl, who says try and offload him onto someone else, or tell him to fuck off.
Yeah.
So you got 3 options there.
Yeah.
Have a chat, offload him, fuck him off.
Yeah. All good options.
It's not terrible. I did have one wrap-up point, actually, for a change. I've recently listened to the Flight of the Conchords radio show because it's on Audible. I thought I'd give it a go because I've got all these credits that I haven't used in ages. And this reminded me of one of the episodes. You've seen the TV show, haven't you? I think they did it on the TV show.
Yep.
Where Brett, who's one half of the band, gets a girlfriend, and Jermaine, who's the other half of the band, starts inviting himself on all their dates.
Yeah.
And when they tell him that they actually want to go on a date without him, he gets really upset. There's a point in the radio show where his manager asks Jermaine what Brett's girlfriend's like, and he goes, "You know Yoko Ono? She's a bit like her." And in that case, the band do split up over it. But eventually they get back together. And I was wondering if the lesson there maybe was, if the friendship is a strong one, then nothing will truly keep you apart. But they do get together at the expense of the relationship. So
it's still not very encouraging for Tinkerbell.
Maybe you're not going to be too happy about that, Tink.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably all we got time for today. So before we wrap it up for the day, Aaron, what is the one piece of art that you would recommend from today?
Mine would be The Power of the Dog by Thomas Savage. I know that, as I said, I recently read it, and that's probably why I'm recommending it, because it's freshest in my mind. But it was, on its own, a very good book.
Cool.
Really tough between Wall-E and Empire Strikes Back, isn't it? But I'm going to go Empire Strikes Back.
Should have been Wall-E.
Because it's great. Wall-E's great as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very obscure this week and say, why not listen to Robert Hazard's version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun? Because it's a little bit different, and you've probably heard the other one loads of times.
Yeah.
Girls just want to have fun.
Oh, you have heard it.
I'm assuming it's just like that.
So that's about all we got time for this week. As always, I would like to thank our resident Agony uncles, Aaron, Karl. Thank you very much.
No problem, mate. Anytime.
You are welcome, Liam.
Yeah, just phone me.
And thank you, listeners, for listening.
No problem, mate. Just let us know when you got an episode out. We'll listen to it.
Our single listener is in the studio today.
I've rated you 5 stars.
Thanks, Mum.
As always, check out the episode notes or agonyartpodcast.com to find links to all the media we mentioned today, and for a link to the Agony Art Spotify playlists, where you can listen to all of the songs we've ever mentioned. If you have a problem that you'd like us to attempt to solve, you can actually reach out to us on our group Instagram and Twitter accounts at Agony Art Podcast, or even on the submissions page on our website. We'll be back next week with more problems to muddle our way through and more entertainment for you to check out. And we will see you then. Goodbye.
Bye.
But I'd suggest keep it light, 'cause their advice can be shite, and they won't be held liable. Oh no, not at all. Not here at Agony Art. Agony Art.